of some showers and storms. So let's look at what happens in Wichita. We're going to see the skies change, more clouds build in, some of them the darker storm clouds. That'll all happen through the day today. We've got that chance of storms by the time we get into tonight. It's isolated, but it's there. And then we'll watch for the front to come in. I mean, look at this. What a change. 86 today, 55 tomorrow. Oh, boy. I mean, you go from summer-like weather that we've been having all week to, well, classic spring. Now, right now, you don't see a whole lot going on out here. We do have a few clouds streaming in, but that's about it. Things have to change in the atmosphere. Let me show you why and what's going to be happening. So it's been mild, yes, and we have the mild air to start. That's one of the ingredients. But there's a front, and behind the front, we've got a cool down. We also have some changes coming in with that front. That's going to be the lifting mechanism. There's some drier air punching in behind it. That's a dry line, especially down here to the south across western Kansas and into Oklahoma. So those will be the lifting mechanisms to get the air to rise. Moisture will be returning throughout the day as well. So we have this chance of thunderstorms, but it is into the evening. And we see that around Salina and down towards Wichita. It's isolated, but we could see severe weather with it. Hail, damaging winds, those would be the main risks if we get storms going today. There's some limits in the atmosphere, like a warm layer of air aloft. So that's why that front is necessary or the dry line to help break through that cap out there. We see that late tonight. This is 11 o'clock and thunderstorms ongoing. And then there'll be another chance again on Saturday, a little further to the south, which we've got to talk about, with maybe an even greater chance of seeing thunderstorms and severe weather. Alex?
Well, more
works out because it's, it is hard to snow after it's been in the 80s, but there's a chance of that. And we look at the forecast, we see snow cover. This is the snow cover right now on the ground. We still have some left in North Dakota, a little bit in South Dakota. It's why you haven't been as hot as places to the south. Northern Minnesota still has some snow, and into the UP of Michigan, we still have some snow. I checked the National Weather Service in Marquette this morning, 14 inches still on the ground, despite all the mild weather that we had, right? So there is still some snowpack on the ground, and with it still being mild today, we're still worried about melting. There's a flood warning across central North Dakota, the Red River of the North here in around Fargo. We also have flood advisories in northern Minnesota, including around Duluth, where yes, we still have snow on the ground, but the snow is melting and leading into the streams and creeks and rivers. A number of gauges that are up at moderate or minor or moderate, and we have a couple up at major, North Dakota and down into South Dakota as well. So something to keep an eye on as we get into the next several days, because now we're going to bring in some rain and some snow into the whole situation. We have snow in the mountains, Montana, Wyoming, Colorado, the Rockies. You guys are again getting hit with some inches of snow, like maybe even 5 to 8 in the peaks. But we're also watching for chances here in the Midwest. This is the Euro. The Euro now is coming around a little bit to what the GFS has been doing all week long, which is giving us a better chance of some decent snowfall here. So confidence is going up that we're going to get some accumulating snow, at least on grassy surfaces. I know everything is warm after the warmth that we've had this week, but Chicago, look at this change. 83 degrees on Saturday. We've been warm already the last few days, and then we see the cold front come in. We drop into the 30s, and we see rain mixing with snow. Alex, I think it's going to be hard to get snow to accumulate here, but there's a chance.
There is a chance. Rounding out this work week, looking towards the weekend. Got plans to get out. I know a lot of festivals that'll be taking place this weekend, music festivals, food festivals.
There's a ton of them.
Yeah. So you want the weather to cooperate.
Yes, and it does look like it will in Fort Lauderdale. They'll get some clearing weather there for Tortuga, which we highlighted the other day, and then the rain came. So somewhat improved, but not everywhere. We actually have storms on the move and developing in the plains, Alex, where we've had a hot and dry week.
It has been. I mean, we had fire danger and now the threat for storms. So let's get into what's going to change today. We do have a few clouds out there right now. This is the first time I saw a few showers starting to pop, but it's not much. We're going to see storms as we go through the evening. I want to talk about places like Wichita, Kansas, where it's going to be another hot day today after a hot week. We're going back to the upper 80s, 86 degrees, but things are changing. We got a frontal passage coming in, 86 degrees today, 55 degrees tomorrow. Yes, and we're going to see some thunderstorms perhaps with that frontal passage. And then it's much cooler, dropping back into the 30s. A lot of wind, too. Ahead of the front, we'll have winds from the south. Behind the front, we'll have winds from the west or northwest. Now, we do have a couple of clouds out there right now, all starting to push east as we see our system building in. These aren't going to do much. There might be a brief shower out there early on through today, but really it's going to take until tonight because we need some things to lift the air. We need a lifting mechanism. So the front and the dry line will be those
those things. Here's the front up here already making its way across the northern plains. You can see that change in temperature. Blue is colder air, yellow is the warmer air, and so we do have the front on the move. It's got a little more impetus to move up to the north, a little slower to the south, but either way, that front is going to be what lifts the air and starts to help the air rising, create more clouds, and get those showers and storms going. Now, we've got that possible chance of storms out there tonight across eastern Nebraska, a lot of central and eastern Kansas, and then down into Oklahoma. The dry line is going to be another factor to lift those storms, especially up here or down here to the south. Now, we've got a dry start to your day. How long is that going to last? You might be wondering. You'll see some rain into western Nebraska, back into the Front Range, eastern Colorado, showers, maybe some thunder out there. But this is where we think the possible severe weather will be, stretching into the evening. This is now 11 o'clock, and storms are ongoing from Salina, Kansas into Kansas City. We're going to keep on watching that track east as we get through the overnight. And then tomorrow, we'll be watching for another round of storms developing. And Alex will talk about that in just 1 second. I do want to mention we have our dry line here moving from New Mexico into Texas. It may trigger a few thunderstorms, not many. It's pretty dry. Those thunderstorms could be dry thunderstorms that could lead to a fire danger. In fact, we have a critical fire risk for the wind and the wind changes coming in all across this area with that dry air. All right, Alex, but I mentioned the storms stop snowing. Well, it's not that unusual actually to still get snow into mid-April up here where we're talking about it, and especially in some of the Mountain West. So, you know, I know you're not surprised. You might not be happy, but you're not surprised.
Every year for that one.
We'll be talking more about that on the show today. Stay tuned for that. We also want to talk more about thunderstorms, though, because what a week we've had. We've had summer-like temperatures. Of course, that had to come to an end.
Yes, it is coming to an end for some of those areas. We got some chilly numbers in store for some spots.
Yeah.
And how about some flakes of snow for some of the spots that have been pretty hot?
Yes, all of it, all of it. And it does start with some storms. We'll talk about where that is today and then how everything changes. You know, we're looking at just a few clouds out there right now. Most of our day is going to be pretty nice here across the plains. It'll be a